Hi, this is Nate. Welcome to this week's bonus episode of Trashfuture. We did things a little differently this time, and what you're about to hear is actually more in the comedic wheelhouse than the political. No, you won't hear Riley raging about whichever theory book he read this week, and we don't have any Brendan O'Neill parody articles either. However, we do have an ensemble cast featuring Riley, Milo, Olga Koch, Pierre Novelli, Alex Keeley, and myself. We're not sure if we're going to do this again as a recurring spin-out show. A lot of it depends on how you, the loyal subscribers, feel about it. So please let us know in the comments or the DMs and we'll take it from there. In the meantime, I very much hope you enjoy this pilot episode of a program we've named Balthasar Speedboat.
It's a fucking noodle. Everything that you boil to put in a pasta sauce is a noodle.
No, okay, so every toy in a pool is a pool noodle. Is it? Is that the flexibility of the word noodle? If it floats and it's used recreationally in a pool, it's a noodle.
But a pool noodle is far too rigid. It's like that's too al dente to be a noodle in food. If you cook a noodle and it's
you're not being fair.
No, but it's too flexible to be irregular. It's not brittle enough.
Nay, I don't
Is that
it's
the
like a
new? Is that the
parboiled
new
noodle.
boast about like that you've got unheated pool, heated pool, pasta pool? Like that's the
So, like,
they were so rich they had a pasta pool
you're saying
where it was hot enough to.
like our indoor pool is so heated that the pool noodles are like droopy and useless.
Right, you can eat it, just don't go in the
They
water.
still float, but they've got no rigidity whatsoever.
They're more of a danger than anything else. Yeah.
They're like alarming dead eels.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, having a pool that hot would be interesting. It sort of reminds
It's
me
called
of
a jacuzzi. Why are we what? Guys,
called a
it
jacuzzi.
exists
Yeah.
and people go into it.
a jacuzzi's not hot enough for this. I don't think.
Jacuzzi's not hot enough to cook something.
Yeah, no, I like this is more like the showers at my gym
balls, sorry.
where they have rather than having like an adjustable temperature shower, they have two sets of 3 showers.
Yeah.
They have like warm showers on one side and then hot showers on the other side.
Where
and
is
the warm
this?
showers, this is at Urban Fitness in Aldgate.
Okay, thank you.
Memberships are available.
Name drop. Sponsor us.
I only do sponsor us. I only do fitness in urban locations. That's my whole thing. So the warm
Jim is
ones
coded African
are
American.
objectively too cold.
Black
There's
fitness.
like a weird Goldilocks and the 3 bears situation, but there is no third bear. And then you get in the hot shower and it's like, oh, my skin appears to have melted from my body. I don't understand. And who are the like? Why?
So you have a sort of Goldilocks situation happening.
Yeah, but there's
At
no
all
third
times.
bowl. There is no.
It's just normal or horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, normal is the third bowl. So it's
There's
Well,
no
yeah,
cold.
sorry, yeah.
There's no cold.
you've got a 2/3
There's
Goldilocks.
because cold, and then there's like what they call warm, but which is objectively cold, and then there's
Right.
like skin meltingly hot, but there is no like normal showering temperature water.
So it's more of like a Matrix pill situation, I suppose.
Mods.
You may not like the cold shower, but by God, does it wake you up?
I've thought there's never enough consensus where if you've just done exercise, you should be hot or cold immediately afterwards, because there's like ice baths in sport, but then there's also the saunas and things to relax you. Which is good? Or is it just if you do muscular exercises, just a sudden extreme temperature is supposed to somehow help you out?
Yeah, I think ice baths are actually good for helping you recover, whereas saunas are just something that the Russians think are good.
You're all wrong. All
It's
of you
like
are
a-
all wrong. You're 100%
Is this a
wrong.
fitness
Are we?
podcast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Shut up. Yes.
This is the Gains podcast.
Yeah.
It's that all of these people have all been brainwashed by the movie Pain and Gain into thinking that they basically need to just systematically hurt themselves in order to like be more like rigid, fuckable, and rich. And so what they do is nothing comfortable could possibly be helpful. So I need to go boil my skin off and then jump into an ice pool, largely
Welcome
for
to being
some.
a fucking woman. What the actual fuck are you talking about? I've been waxing since I was 9.
It's because
Okay.
all women have seen the movie Pain and Gain.
So I can look more like The Rock.
Good girls, all girls love the movie Pain and Gain.
Yeah.
It is
Like,
very weird when you go in for the
A waxing.
You go
Bring a
ask
picture of Dwayne Johnson.
Make me look like it.
and then you try to get your money because they do it like WWE era, not like movie star era.
Well, it's
And they say to you, you would not believe the amount of frozen Atlantic cod you're going to have to eat to look like this man.
I wish I could look like Matt Lucas. Or Sajid Javid.
Just smooth.
Just
I
smooth
feel
as
like
hell.
I wish I could look like Matt Lucas is the one time that if you had a monkey paw, the monkey paw finger would be like, how do I fuck this up? How do I fuck this up? Like, I feel like it's already fucked up.
Well, they make you look like him as one of his characters.
Oh, right, okay.
That's what you, come on.
Okay, it's weird. Yeah, weird.
Yeah, and then they go, you didn't say which iteration of Matt Lucas.
You become a
I think you're still
cantankerous
getting a
wheelchair
ball.
guy.
I suppose, yeah, right, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right, I retract everything I just said. Lots.
Yeah, you better track that from fucking Monkey's Paw Court.
Fucking hell. Little Britain was so weird, wasn't it? It was just like so many of the punchlines were just projectile vomiting.
Yeah.
Like a really like
Little
a weird
Britain
amount.
is definitely the show that has gone from like usually, you know, when you go like they just wouldn't make that now. You can't usually say about something that was made like 2 years, like where like royalties are still like it's the same percent. They'd be like yeah. Usually it takes like 10 years.
It was on TV in like 2004.
No, but there's what's the most recent?
was on
what's the most
2000
recent
while.
series? I think it still was on by like
2007, 2008.
yeah, and I feel like even in like 2010, you'd have
They
been
did like a special or something.
You would like I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like the point when you go like, oh well, the premise of that sketch is just, but there's no comedic device beyond like, look at that person.
Look at that poor person. That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, well,
And David Walliams is still on TV because
What kind of name is Walliams?
yeah, because like David Walliams is like
We're all thinking it.
yeah. I mean, you know, it's like as a child he couldn't pronounce his own name, so he changed it. It's that
Isn't
kind
it
of
one?
vibe.
Isn't it one of those things where if you register as an actor with equity and someone already has your name, you just
right.
have
And
to slightly fuck
there
it
was
up?
already a David Walliams, so he had to change it to David Walliams.
Exactly,
Is what
yeah.
you're saying, right?
Yeah,
David Williams?
Yeah, David Walliams is one of the most
Walliams.
famous.
Yeah. But that's why you get all those famous
Hamlet
actors
was
with like
beautiful.
needless initials because the initial counts as a new one.
Yeah.
Like John C. Riley and you know all that kind of stuff.
MC Hammer, yeah.
MC Hammer, exactly. Michael Collins Hammer. That's right. He's named after the Irish Revolutionary
Military Cross Hammer.
military crime.
He was awarded that.
MC Hammer MC.
Well, then,
Treat him with the
interestingly-
respect he deserves.
Interestingly, when he became a rapper, he was MC Hammer MC.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And then he won 2 military crosses, and so et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And so on and so forth.
VCDCM.
VCDCM GMC.
Yeah. At the point where you start sounding like a sort of video transfer codec.
Yes.
If you win enough military medals, you become VGA HDMI. RGB.
You become like one of these one of the LimeWire things, right? Where it's like Ned Flanders doing a Spirit Bomb 720p HQ rip, and then it's just a virus.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
So
man,
you
I
wanted-
used to download so much shitty porn through that.
Through LimeWire.
Yeah, where you're like, it says XXS. I'm gonna take a gamble.
And then
Do
you
you mean
downloaded the
bad
movie
porn
Triple
or-
X.
But
and
he's
then
also
you're like, that's exactly what I want to look like.
And it's a mind virus because you keep quoting the movie Triple X.
That's right.
just
Yeah,
horny
like a
for
James
snowboarding as well.
Bond for the energy drink generation.
oh man, Triple
That's
X.
so
is so
good. That's
bad.
such a good pitch for it. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
bet
not
that's how
bad.
that got sold.
Dude, we should pitch Triple X.
And Triple X had a Rammstein were in that film.
What?
There was
So
a scene
sick.
with Rammstein in where he had to walk through a Rammstein concert happening somewhere in.
They were like, it's imperative that Vin Diesel is not the most ridiculous person in this film.
Yeah.
But what I love, so isn't there there's like quite a good chunk of the film that's like snowboard. There's like a big old snowboarding, and I'm just like, that, like, yeah.
It's a poor
I feel
man's
like,
Agent
I feel
Cody
like
Banks.
Of all the things, it's weird. For me, still the most unrealistic thing about James Bond in those films is the proportion of his missions that involve skiing. Like, it's not that, like, I genuinely, like, a lot of the, like, inventions, I'm like, fine, yeah, but the stuff where it's like, again, I'm using my skiing skills because luckily there happens to be a lot of height between me and the, like, it's just like, it's...
But at least in the 1950s and 60s when the world was much more run by like an actually socially selective elite, then it made sense that they all hung out in remote skiing locations.
They still do.
Yeah, but now it's also more likely that you're like, oh, where's Dr. No? And you go, well, he's in the chill out room of fucking a rave bunker and I have to find him in there. It's just like,
Somewhere in
Dr. No
Bergamo.
is now like a sort of app billionaire.
Absolutely.
Who's
He's had
32.
enough
Yeah, Dr.
pingers
No's
that
in
he's now-
Soho House, and you can't get
Yeah, you can't even get in to kill him because the sort of beautiful and arrogant women who run the desk will not let
So
you in.
instead of being really good at skiing, you have to be like a good enough comedian to get get a gig in there that you then get a membership as a reward.
There was a while ago where, due to a sort of an ongoing, like, sort of, let's say, flirtation with the arrogant and beautiful lady who sat at the door of the arts club in Mayfair, I was consistently getting in there.
Okay.
There's no informational value in that anecdote.
So
apart from Riley has a huge dong.
So it's
Where's the lie?
So it's plausible.
It's in there.
Touch
Just
on
find
this
it.
anecdote where otherwise.
So it's plausible, right? Then okay, then your job is to try and find your way in there. But like at least in the 60s, it would make sense that, and also when skiing was kind of like still a sort of heavens, like even being in a plane, you'd have to wear a suit. Kind of thing.
So in the pitch meeting for Triple X, so what they did with the skiing scenes in Bond, they weren't like, well, obviously we wouldn't ski now. I'd be like, we'd snowboard now. We'd snowboard now.
We'd snowboard now. And if we
The
can somehow,
jumpsuit is no longer lemon.
Yeah.
It's transitioned to a sort of more normal
Monster
color.
Energy. It's a Monster Energy branded
Yeah.
jumpsuit.
and like the sort of snowboarding kind of resort is going to have like Rammstein playing, or there'll be some element of kind of strippers. There'll always be a big room of strippers to kind of slowly walk through.
Nothing gets
The
you in
first
the
time
mood
I
for
ever
skiing.
heard the song "Killing in the Name of" by Rage Against the Machine was in the ski resort Verbier. And I saw, which is like the least relatable.
That's my
story. But I
favorite
just
thing
remember-
you've
I
ever
just-
said.
I just remember seeing
Was it like
an
won't do what you tell me.
unrepresentative social group all in an outdoor bar at Après Ski having like €10 like Heinekens, like singing along with "Fuck me, I won't do what you tell me."
Fuck
And
you,
that's
I'm going
applied
to do
to
what
the
you tell me
chairlift
very
rules.
well so I can get into a high-ranked university or
Yeah.
school.
I was just like, is this
I don't-
okay?
I don't-
It's okay.
I don't even have enough knowledge of the names of ski resorts to know.
Right, so
I
implicitly,
made
when I
it-
said, you understood what I said when he said Verbier, but only through jigsaw interpretation of the rest of what I said.
Through contextual interpretation, through sheer contextual interpretation, I could figure out the kind of place. I went.
Verbier is one of the shitty ones.
I'm true
though.
to. I wouldn't. Amazing. Wow. I love a
No,
moment.
there
I
is-
love a moment when I'm like, how am I going to get out of this like a minute to the right? He's like, step up. I finished my flirting with the doll woman story, and let me show you this bar chart of cool ski resorts.
No, Verbier is
You
not
think
great.
Balthasar's exclusive?
No, it's like Val Thorens, not great, very bad.
You're doing it. Keep going.
No, it's like
very
no.
bad deal on skiing in Val
Very
Thorens.
bad deal at Val Thorens. Verbier, no good. Everyone knows is the best skiing is on Parsen at Closters.
I don't even.
Those
It's
are
just like
words.
types of
Closters
sliding.
fucking rocks.
I just want to interrupt as the producer and say this, that my wife lives in Switzerland, and when you mentioned Closters the first time, she's like, Closters is so expensive, even Swiss people don't go there. And she's like, so Riley, you have won the Patrician Gold Star. You've got it. We can riff on something else because you've got it. You've got it, baby. You're doing good.
Even MC Hammer didn't win that one.
So you've got the Engels mate helping out Engels level of nesting.
Riley is currently in the corner crying, saying, "Why do I still feel so empty?"
But there's also
I'm
like
hungry.
I've never. Like, so in order to be able to say things like the quality of skiing, you need to not only ski, but you need to ski so much that through an enormous steel boot and a sort of blade, you can sense that there's a better type of snow on this hill.
Correct.
Where's the lie?
For the brief sliding sport.
Or you need to be a philosopher of languages going, but what is the quality of skiing?
Yeah.
Wittgenski.
Wittgenski, oh
But
God.
it's like
Wittgenski in, Wittgenski out.
Now you've lost me there.
Oh, fuck you, Milo.
they but it's the same thing as like you need to drink enough wine to know what good wine is, right? Like
Yes.
Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
Is this just like a sort of very budget version of Punk'd where we're just like
You need to get so many blowjobs to know what a good blowjob is.
And you only need one bad one to know that it was bad.
What do you
That's
mean you've
true.
not had a blowjob while skiing down a hill and drinking a glass of Shadow Nerf de Pap?
Again,
You say that you relax at the weekend, but I don't see how.
Shadow Nifta Pap is again an oversaturated.
Yes.
I think everyone kind of already knew though.
I just
No, they didn't already know that. They already knew about you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think everyone already knew.
I think the definitive statement about wine ever is the bit in Peep Show where Jez is on a date and he doesn't really have enough money for the date, and then his partner orders a glass of wine. He can't see how expensive it is, agrees, sees how expensive it is, and starts swearing, and then goes, "This is really good." And then you hear in his internal monologue, he's like, "Well, it's good, but not good like Ribena or hot chocolate." And I think that's it's just like
The two genders.
yucky poison make brain feel nice and like tolerable. Like that you can't see where my hands are moving up on this.
It's excellent. Well, I mean, look, of course, the fanciest visual jokes communicated on an audio medium. what I learned at the Royal Academy of mismatching your joke to your medium.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes, this podcast has become the capitalist equivalent of Trash Future, where we just discuss best skiing resorts.
There are several dimensions that make a ski resort good.
What are they? Educate me.
Well, definitely height is one of them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I once set up this ski resort in Jericho, and it was really not.
Like you just cross country ski all the way up and down Jericho Road.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent.
Oh, I was doing
Oxford geography.
I was actually doing a Jericho Israel Palestine bit, but we can do the Oxford version. I was doing a Jericho lowest lying place in the world joke, but.
Did you just use that as a way to segue into saying, "Oh, Oxford geography"? I happen to know a lot about the region of Oxford.
Do you want to know why? I enjoyed that this was a recurring bit.
Can I please? Okay, can I do this? Can I talk about your joke? The joke that you did when you did stand up about Oxford.
No.
It's so good. It's such a good bit.
If you want to know what the joke was, Alex Keeley.
I want to tell it so bad.
I would argue that is less bad than much has already been said.
At Alex Keeley, if you want to find out what the joke is.
Oh my God,
I really want to know what
I want
it
to
is.
tell it
But
so
in this
bad.
case, finally, Alex Keeley actually knows what the joke was.
Our whole real
staring at absolute daggers.
a real mission.
It's so good.
A real mission is to improve Alex Keeley's Twitter presence by getting people to at him about stuff.
Oh, really? That was a one-time bit about an anecdote that I frustrated on one episode, right?
Oh,
yeah. Wait. So what are the three? No. So I feel like we let Riley get off the. What are the three
because
ski resort vectors?
Yeah, I want to know. Apart from the obvious, height, availability of snow.
Yeah. Like
Number of henchmen, crucial.
Yeah, exactly. Henchmen. Is there somewhere where your henchman can stay?
Yeah.
For example,
There's
Like Sochi,
a
Sochi. It was in
dormitory.
Russia.
Yeah.
Did they have to use lots of snow machines, or was there good snow usually in there that time of year?
What
mean,
time
they
of year
have
was
snow-
it?
I mean-
Krasnaya Polyana, which is where the skiing is like pretty snowy in the winter.
Yeah. They snow there all the
Wasn't
time.
there something where they had to?
Ski there.
There was some crappy weather, not for skiing, but for some other sport, and they had to use technology to. Like there was nearly a crisis, and then they brought in a load of machines for
Well,
something.
because the weird thing about the geography of that area is that Sochi is like a hot beach resort, but then if you go up in the mountains, it's a ski resort.
Oh
So
right.
it's like a real juxtaposition. So if you like spend 40 minutes in a cab from like hot beach, you get to like cold mountain. It's very odd.
Whenever I was reading, like
you can go
This is
from
the
two
geography
different
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's about two different popular movies of the late '90s, starring some like approachable hunks: The Beach and Cold Mountain.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Cold Mountain though is a sort of harrowing civil war.
Yeah, but Jude Law.
Yeah,
And
I
the
guess so.
beach,
And Nicole
the beach
Kidman.
had Leo DiCaprio, but crucially, the song "Pure Shores" by All Saints.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, what a tune!
It's a good song.
Do you not know the song
come
Pure
on,
Shores
you
by
know.
All Saints?
Can you see what
Wow,
I
oh,
see?
that one, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
calling you, my
Okay.
dear.
Take me to the movie title.
Take me to the snack bar.
Until I realized that the Black Sea resorts are actually nice. Whenever I read, like in Russian history, it was like, oh, and then because he became lead secretary of the whatever, he also got given a dacha on the Black Sea. Because I just assumed everywhere in Russia has got horrible weather. I'd read that and be like, well, that's, I guess, is nice because it's near the sea.
As a
but it's not very
classicist, if you
nice.
were in the Roman Empire, if you were given a dacha on the Black Sea, it wasn't a good sign.
Well, that's because they were just basically trying to get you to be killed. Who was on the Black Sea? Was it Carcassians?
Yeah, they would just send you there because it was just like a shitty place where, like, it's like, well, we've bothered to conquer it, but actually we hate it, so we only send the people there that we don't like.
Yeah.
I'd like to editorialize. I said Carcassians. I'm right. All the history books say Carcassians. Everyone who says Circassians actually just read it and never heard it pronounced.
Keeping up with the Carcassians. The story of the Roman Empire. I've never heard of the Carcassians.
Well,
The Cardassian card.
The Kardashians are Armenian.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
The
Kardashian
largest
thing, that's just like a
asked group of
coincidence that whoever came up with Star
No,
Trek
no, they're
invented
from
Kardashian.
no. The Kardashians are Kardashian. That they're from there. It's not a coincidence. They were named for their.
So why
original-
is that
Well, their
alien
name was
called-
changed to Ellis Island.
Space Alice Island.
Yeah,
Right.
Ellis asteroid.
Right.
Wait, hang on, the Kardashians live in space?
Who brought this onto Star Trek?
I said that Riley mispronounced the name. Riley mispronounced
No, I
the name
didn't.
of the Circassians
I
as
did
the
not.
Carcassians.
I
Which,
did not.
If I'm not
I
mistaken,
didn't
he
mispronounce
basically
it.
was mixing it up with the one of the alien races in Star Trek.
No, I was
The
thinking.
Circassians?
I was
No,
thinking about.
the Cardassians, right? The
Yeah.
Circassians are real. They're
Yeah. Then I was confusing him with the Scythians and other various Central Asian.
No, the
Nomadic-
Scythians are from Greece.
They're from Greece. I thought they were from Asia Minor.
No, it's like they're like from. It's like borderline. It's like kind of like just off from Thrace.
Yeah.
See,
but
I've
isn't
We've
that
all
what-
been to Thrace. Ryanair goes there.
But also that's. But also that's.
Okay, so we've got ski resorts, we've got dad languages, and we've got types of wine. So all the usual
Yeah.
from this
Very relatable.
podcasting
The
family.
Scythians did famously make good wine.
But also, like saying that that's the area they're from when you're talking about a famously nomadic conquering people is a kind of pointless. That's like saying, well, that's where the Vandals were from, and you go, well, they were from everywhere. They moved around a lot, vandalizing stuff.
And now they're Banksy.
The Vandals are from increasingly my area. I'm very concerned.
local Vandals making millions with one weird trick.
When I say
North African olive farmers hate them.
Capital accumulators.
just a picture of like a burning city, and it's like when I say I want a goth GF, this is what I mean.
Well, the gods didn't necessarily they sacked Rome, but they tried to maintain a continuity.
Okay,
of,
what's sacking though? Is sacking just stealing, or do you do burning as well?
You do some burning, of course you do.
some limited burning?
But that's not
course
the
you
goal.
do.
That's like a side project.
But have you never
A horse
pillaged?
knocks over a lamp.
Hey,
Wow.
Let's
That's
burn.
like the really boring. We're like, please let it start in a baker's shop. The Great Fire of London is like just a horse knocked over and there's no
Which I
hilarious,
think is
ironic.
the Great Fire of Chicago, I think.
yeah, that was a baker's shop. It was
Was it
the
a
horse kicking over a lantern was
San
was
Francisco?
London. No, I think it was London.
No, Bake Shop's
No, it's
London.
Bake Shop.
Which one was Chicago?
O'Leary's cow in Chicago, the Great Chicago.
Yeah, I was right. Chicago. Thank you.
Yeah, Chicago.
Thank you, Nate. You couldn't hear him, but Nate was backing up my serious Midwest knowledge.
That's two.
I'm going to Chicago November 9th. Hit me up. I'm going to a Bulls game. Good night.
Wait, are you performing at the Bulls game?
No, I'm actually just going.
Are
Yeah,
you
just
singing the
going.
national anthem at the start?
What Olga's saying is, if you're from Chicago, slide into her DMs. That's what she.
Slide into those DMs at
Please,
Rock
can
and Roll
you-
Guy. They're open.
Refer to it throughout as the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls.
Just to confuse them.
Chicago
Russians
Bulls.
fucking love Chicago Bulls.
That's how you say it.
Yeah,
I mean,
what's with that?
Well, because it was like the epitome of capitalism when the Soviet Union dismantled. They were like, America, Chicago Bulls.
Michael Jordan, big jeans, little mustaches.
All in the 90s.
All
It is
of it.
the
They
only
didn't know the,
basketball team for
rules
which
of
play
basketball.
both Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny.
That's why
Well, Bugs Bunny only made it on the team because they adopted Moneyball strategy, where they considered each player's individual worth and a kind of not Moneyball, my
Fantasy
Space Jam
basketball.
Moneyball rip. I thought that was a bit of fun.
Moneyball. That's a movie from 2013.
Hey,
Is it?
always relevant. Changed everything.
Anyway, skiing resorts. What makes the best ones the best?
Okay,
Riley.
so width, height. There's like location, quality of snow. Yeah, that's sort of.
That's irrelevant.
Oh my god!
It's
If
not
a
about the
ski
snow,
lift
it's
has
about the
butt
networking.
heat, if a ski lift has butt heat,
Oddly enough, most of the ones in most of the good resorts in Switzerland, actually, a lot of them have kind of budget ski lifts. Like some of the best runs.
sort it out.
Some of the best runs in Davos are accessible by T-bar.
Right. I don't.
I do actually. Yeah, T-bars do suck. That is true.
T-bars suck. T-bars are
those-
that's a form of racism.
Are those like those little stick it between your legs?
Yes.
No, you don't stick it between
Seat-
your legs.
seat
It's
things?
two people share them. It's one butt per T.
And so you have to be balanced.
Depends on
Can
the
you
size
go
of
up
your
on your
butt.
own then? Can you go up on your own on a T-bar?
Well, you can,
Yes.
but you're designed for two.
Right.
It's like a bicycle built for two, but one that gives you a hernia.
So
Hernia,
like, when I have
hemorrhoid.
those microwavable meals. on
My
own.
my mistake here was asking a involved question about skiing, having not done enough skiing to have any of the relevant vocabulary or understanding.
I've never even been skiing. I'm just making inferences on the basis of the sort of people I know who go skiing, and nothing I've so far inferred has been wrong.
I went once on a budget holiday when I was like 12 and never again, and it was sort of fine. It was.
Where was the location of the budget ski holiday? To see what makes Riley
In
makes
Africa.
This is Sutton.
Oh, no, this is in the Isle of Man.
No. Oh, yeah, in the local ski center. No, it was somewhere near like Lake Como.
No, that's good. That's like the Dolomites.
No, it wasn't. Believe me, if you'd seen where we were staying, we were surprised on arrival. Put it that way.
The Dolomites are pretty good usually.
Turns out, I suppose the quality of it was fine, but
Was it just Ralph Wiggum dressed as a mountain? Ski on me.
yeah. Well, it was.
If you add a T, then that becomes problematic.
The main thing we learned was that there's no such thing as too much bleach in cleaning a physical room someone's in. So it was.
Is it like? Oh.
What? What do you?
Sorry, I'm telling you.
Wait, is that what Little John was talking about this whole time?
Oh,
Is there a French
crawl.
podcast
Is
called
that
like
it?
Skeetville or something like that?
What? Oh, I thought he was talking about clay pigeon shooting. Sorry. Hang on a minute.
Well, now who's out of
Who's the
touch?
privileged one?
I've never clay pigeon shot either.
I've just
I
inferred
did-
a lot from
yeah.
other people.
I mean,
I know kind of person I know who does clay pigeon shooting.
yeah, they all look like Little John. Why does that surprise you, Riley?
okay, what is Little John?
Wait, hang on.
What?
So in that song, he's actually saying,
The
"Whoa,
rapper.
come,
Yeah.
motherfucker."
Yeah.
To the
Wow.
window.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's
God,
not
I played
Sweat
Need for Speed
Wait.
Underground for PC in the years 2004, 2006.
That's an amazing reference.
That's a good
Oh,
poll.
what a soundtrack! Lost
Wait.
Profits, Rest in, Completely Me Too.
Not to be confused with Ian Watkins, also known as H from Steps,
Yes,
who really
he's
gets
had
a
a
lot of
bad time.
unwarranted heat on Twitter from.
I also love, but you got to actually, if Ian Watkins from Steps really profited, because he can now pretend like, oh yeah, if it weren't for the Lost Profits thing, I'd still be a big star. I'm like, no,
Do you know-
it's still the Steps.
Do you know, like, you know how in Brazil, footballers, the names are too long and complicated, so they pick names like nicknames like Pele.
Oh, caca.
Yeah, whatever. So it fits on the
Great
t-shirt.
name.
Such a crazy one to
But the point
Just
is
wanted
that
to say that on air.
here's a proposal: if someone turns out to be a massive pedophile, they can't
Opposed
have
to a normal sized pedophile.
no, like a serious, like Ian Watkins level, horrifying pedophile. Then, out of respect and empathy for all the non-pedophile Ian Watkins, they need to have like a new pedophile name
Oh, that's brilliant.
that they are referred to as like.
Oh, yeah.
So they can only be referred to in the news by like it's like a cultural thing that we start where if you commit series of grievous crimes, you have a crime name, and your old identity is just wiped.
Can they be like, you know how there's like books of the Bible that didn't make the cut, and then
Yeah.
they presumably have like lists of demons that aren't really. Do we just assign them demon names and then have a number? How
Yeah.
many pedophiles are we talking here? Like, are we going to run out of names? They all have individual
if
ones.
they don't already have an obscure enough name, so like
Right,
They all get named after a Steven Seagal film.
yeah.
So if your
so
name's Dave Smith and you've done a bad thing,
a bad nonsense, then
Yeah.
it's time to have a new name.
You become
Your new
David
name is
Smath.
Balthasar Speedboat or whatever.
Balthasar Speedboat.
And then no, there's no risk.
Hey, kids, you want to ride in my speedboat?
That's exactly.
And then a guy shows up and he's like, "My name is Balthasar Speedboat. My life has been ruined."
we have to change this.
That's basically like every white nationalist
I run
kid
an
has a
NGO.
name like that. They're called like Chuck Tuggle or whatever.
Chuck Tuggle.
That's from the Dan Quinn extended universe.
Chuck has started well
God, I
there, but
have
it's
no
the
idea what
tuggle
that
that's really.
means.
Yeah.
So Balthasar Speedboat. Okay.
I'm always amazed by because America is made up of so many different like Western European naming traditions or European naming traditions that you can end up with people named things like Reince Priebus, and they all sound like to me to my ears they sound like Star Trek names.
Yeah.
They sound made up.
Well,
like
it's-
they'd be like, "Hi, my name's Blim Jamson." And you're like, "What? How?" And they go, "Oh, well, I'm Irish Dutch on one side and I'm Slovakian Japanese on the other side, and if that's just ended up as Blim Jamson." And,
Don't call me Jam. That's my father's name.
yeah, Mr. Jamson was my father. Yeah, and like, there's just so many like hard, dynamic one-syllable first names and mad, undecipherable
Brock.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Brock,
The-
Brad.
You know the other
Like-
thing. Well, Brad's not that bad, but the other thing they do
Still odd
is
sound.
I think a white nationalist thing. How you know you're talking to a white nationalist is if they can
They
have
tell you. Oh, they tell you.
white national.
Is it political veganism that
Yeah.
you will find out immediately?
How many skulls are on their hat?
How many skulls have they measured? Has he measured your
God.
skull? But there's the thing, you can always tell because they will have the most possible letters to communicate the fewest possible syllables. Like where they try to spell my name, they'd spell it REYEIELEIGH.
Oh, like Okay. Yeah.
So they spell like sort of 10th century Irish monks.
Yes, exactly.
So
The
Kylie
last-
will,
like the last
Kylie
white
will have
people.
like an EIGH or something.
like,
or
at a minimum. They're probably like a Q.
the JZ is silent.
Which is why Jay-Z actually has no name.
That is their political goal, but yeah.
I didn't ever really. So obviously, when they pop up on Twitter, and it'll be like some clip of all these lunatic, streamers who are like white nationalists.
Joey's World Tour.
Yeah, but I don't watch them. I read about them,
That's
but
the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I refuse to put that in my brain. In the same way that, like, if someone said, "Look, like, you'll never believe how bad all this dog shit on the pavement tastes," it's like, no, I'm just going to look at it and be annoyed enough by looking at it. I don't need to eat it.
3 minute eat the dog shit, no hands challenge.
Yeah, exactly. But then the other day I relented and finally watched a sort of compilation of these weirdos. And
Their cars.
Not the only kind of compilation that I watch. Hello. Sorry.
It's also white
that was
nationalism.
a
what kind
reflex.
do you watch?
Skeet compilations.
What?
What makes
Olga?
Tell us the criteria for a good compilation.
Length for sure.
Height.
You talking about pornography?
Oh my god. I mean, the only anecdote that I ever tell about the porn that I watch is one time I was watching an anal porno. They called the ass a poop shoot. I kept watching. Let's continue.
No. But was that in preparation?
She was like, "Do you like my poop shoot?" And I was like, "I'm too far in."
How far in was too far in? It has to be quite a number. But what I mean is, had the sex started then? Because if the sex hadn't started,
The woman was just on the phone, clothed.
Yeah, no, it could be like her. Like, oh, the sink isn't. You had to fix my sink,
I'm
and
not
then
mocking
you're
you.
looking at my poop shoot. Like,
no, the question-
that's fine.
I wasn't
You stop
mocking.
then.
I wasn't mocking your suggestion. I was mocking the idea that early in is far enough in to just stick with it.
Yeah, why would you ask for a review before you've even started? She's asking for a poop shoot review.
Yeah.
But if it's early on in the film.
Or mid.
And he just replies, "Look, I didn't get the name Balthasar Speedboat by not liking poop shoots."
And then it goes, so yeah. So that's a third music. Usually there's the normal music, and then when the sexy music comes on, it goes jazzy. When he says, but
I
that's the
hate it when
music
the
when
music
it
comes
goes.
on.
That's when the music goes horror music. When he goes, Balthasar Speedboat. Like, I thought it was a rag porn.
There's
Then
that
Rammstein comes in.
There's that noise that goes ring, like that kind of horrible xylophone going up. Horror sound.
This stepdaughter was expecting a normal punishment,
Oh
like
my
no
God, speaking of
TV
stepdaughter.
time.
Wait. I was watching a lesbian porno, and I kid you not, they were called step cousins.
Wait, isn't that a Will Ferrell movie?
I mean, that's like I will never forget. I was watching a similar one of the movies.
Yeah.
And there was like a couple, and like a girl comes in. And they're like, "We see you've not been doing your homework." And she's like, "Oh, but stepmom and stepdad, what are you going to do about it?"
Amazing.
Amazing.
Non-blood relatives, that it would be okay, it would titillate you, but be legally okay for us to do this.
Wait, so stepmom and stepdad, that means that like both of her original parents got
Just
married to
gone.
other people, and those people got married to each other, and now she's adopted by them because they killed the original parents in a freak
Yeah.
accident.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like
I'm on board.
Theseus's shit, but for porn.
It's a family bound together for more than blood.
Bound together by a magical ball of yarn.
Bound together with Japanese rope bondage.
I have I would like to see pornos where they ask those questions, but they ask them in like that kind of Dilbert water cooler kind of hot enough for you, like if she would turn around and be like, "How's my poop shoot treating you?"
No, like it's a server. Like
neighborly sex chat.
Like, you know how when you're at a restaurant and the server
How's it
will
going
always,
back there?
will always come by like halfway through the meal and be like, "Hey, how's everything going?" As though you're
Yeah.
going to say anything other than, "Oh, fine, thank you."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they not tell me, "Oh, how's the poop shoot?"
Yeah, really insincere.
Actually, the
Hi
best.
guys, is everything okay
And then
with
you
the
go,
poop shoot?
and then you go, oh no, it's really great, and then walk over and be like, oh, but it's actually,
Yeah.
it's a bit underdone.
Oh, there's a hair in my poop shoot.
I never have the confidence to
But I
say
want-
that it's
I want
not.
that-
I just would still.
I want that kind of, working hard or hardly working. Like I want that kind of hollow office banter.
Well, the most analogous restaurant thing would be they come over and ask you how the dick tastes, and you're like, "Whoa, it's fine."
It's always right after you put the dick in your mouth.
Yeah, a minute to.
Clearly, I'm enjoying it.
right.
I barely even discovered what the flavor profile of this penis is. What am I getting notes of? I don't know yet.
Wait, Steph, you're on notice.
What are the other kind of like generic How's the weather down there? That would work.
Well, wait.
In a porn?
Just a woman with a deep voice asking you what her pussy tastes like. Saying, how's the weather down there?
Man, I was going to say, Elizabeth Holmes' post-Theranos career really strange, huh?
I have
no idea what any of those
None of
words
you know
meant.
who this is. None of you are at all informed.
This is the
I got it, Riley. But you know what's weird is that I feel like that's been done to great comedic effect only one time that I'm aware of. And I don't know if you have ever seen the movie Orgasmo.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's by the guys who did South Park, but they had a lot of weird movies they made before South Park became
Like
famous.
Basketball.
And they're bad, don't get me wrong. South Park is, but Orgasmo is interesting because it's about a Mormon who wants to get married in the Mormon temple, which costs a lot of money. So he becomes not a gay porn star, but a porn star to do that. And that's how he makes money. And somehow that's legal under the Mormon faith. But they make him do the more insane sex scenes that no one else will do. And one of them is with an enormous woman who goes by T-Rex, who has a voice that's clearly disembodied. And if I remember correctly, she walks in the room for the sex scene and says, "You're going to make me come or I'm going to kick your ass." And all I can think of is like any woman who would say, "How's the weather down there?" would make that voice. It would have to be that voice.
Can we please stop talking about what happens with me and my girlfriend behind closed doors?
It's like the woman would have the voice that they give to when they interview people who were in the IRA or the SAS. Like,
You're gonna make me come or I'm gonna kick your ass.
kind of
So
like
the listeners at home, all the men in this room are fully erect.
yeah.
So that's like Mary Whitehouse's compromise, like a censorship compromise on porn would be to continue to have porn but have it all IRA dubbed.
Yeah. All dubbed by Jerry Adams.
It's the Raw really means something else now, huh?
I wish I had enough faith in the veracity of my Northern Irish accent to really have a go at a sex scene with a.
How's the weather down there? Down there.
Solid.
That's all right.
Man,
isn't
that's
it?
really good. Where were you in the 90s?
Where wasn't I in the 90s? I was busy dubbing a lot of porn.
So I used to
Republican.
Such a 90s kid.
Wait. I have a story about it. So I used to date a girl in Moscow who I should have known was like a bit off the wall because the first time we met, she was just like, "I'm not drunk enough. Let's have like 8 drinks." And I'm like, "Okay, fine, cool." And then she revealed to me that she'd been living in Germany for a while, and she obviously didn't have a visa. Anyway, she could only do like unofficial work, and the job that she'd gotten was working for her neighbor dubbing porn films. Because his business model was like making porn on like an incredibly low budget.
Hey, I've never heard of that business model before.
He only had to look, Riley, what you get up to in your personal life. And he only had 2 actors, like one man and one woman. And he was explaining to him, and he's like, well, the problem is this woman, she's very good at the fucking, but she makes terrible noises like a bear. Oh my God. And so he would
Not that
send.
there's not a market for
He would
that.
send this girl I used to date. It's this very like sweet looking Russian girl with an iPad with the porn scene on it into like a normal recording studio with like the normal sound engineers who you like hire by the hour to produce your like choral music album or whatever the fuck. And she would just sit there watching this porn going like into the microphone, and all these guys would be sitting there like, "What the fuck?
What is this you're dubbing?
What kind of choral music album is this?
Really weird." She's
I'm
obviously
pretty sure
doing like a
that's an
very
episode of
niche
Toast of
part of the a
London.
cappella choir.
God.
What's like the lowest budget porn? I quite like one where there's for some narrative reason that like in a court, you know how in a court in Britain you have artist depictions that would be like, "Oh, the porn was really good, but legally we can't. But here's an artist depiction of
Like
each."
a-
and
like
it's
a
about
coloured
20
pencil
Yeah,
sketch.
so about
What?
15.
It's a
15
flip
little
book.
sketches. So you just save on actually filming it, and it's just the artist doing a little sketch.
Oh, is this a joke?
Yes.
Sick burn.
Also, I liked, I love saying something where someone, for whatever reason, someone just looks at you and goes, "Whoa."
But like,
Fully believe that was a real thing.
Hey guys, apparently
like, I've wanked
my
less.
Alex is having a riff voice sounds like Alex is reading from Wikipedia voice.
well, the original like Winnie the Pooh TV series was them like holding up beautiful drawings and just doing the voices. So it would be like that.
Or like the Joss Whedon Astonishing X-Men or
Yes.
Amazing X-Men, whatever which one
You'd
it
have
was.
a really detailed still pencil sketch drawing, and then all the voices going, "Oh, you're home soon. My entire step family."
The step family reunion, just 20 people getting together for dinner and ass eating.
Yeah, just
My entire Steps family, including Ian Watkins. Not that one.
That guy
Ian Watkins.
goes by Speedboat now.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that is the Speedboat one. Okay.
Wait, who invited Speedboat to the step family gathering?
Please call me Balthasar. Mr. Speedboat is my father's name.
He also committed a series of horrible crimes.
And then over time, it becomes a name like Smith, where like.
Oh, yes, in 14th century Wales, you were a paedophile. 14th century Wales.
Oh, it's actually my ancestors would have been committing a series of horrific crimes.
Well, actually, well, my ancestors came over from
I
Germany.
wouldn't know my way around a
and
child. That's the strange thing
name
about
was-
these names.
name-
My ancestors would have been great blacksmiths, but I'd hardly know what to do with a child.
I'm not a Cooper.
This is just classic step family reunion chat, just small talk waiting
The name-
over dinner.
The name was actually Speedboat, but they changed it to Ellis Island. A proud line of Weimar paedophiles.
I'm really looking forward to not wanting to share the thing.
You know, you keep using the name Balthasar, and I realize that I'm triggered by it, right? And it doesn't make any sense to me until Well, exactly, right? Like, why? And then I realized what it was, because it triggered a memory that I hadn't thought of in a really long time, which is, so I lived in Germany as a kid, right? But my parents are American, and my parents wanted me and my brother to speak German. And so one of the things they encouraged was anytime that we expressed interest in something that was German, they were like, happily like indulge it. So in one case, I saw a magazine in a store, normal, normal German magazine in a normal German department store, and I was like, there was a cartoon on it or something, whatever it was. I was 6, so my mom got me the magazine. So I went and I was reading, and it was clearly not intended for a kid because like it was like articles, right? It was like the New Yorker style thing.
That kind of
But
adult
there was
magazine.
there was a cartoon. There was a cartoon like the New Yorker about a dog named Balthasar that eats his master's wife's pussy out, and then the master comes home and sees this happening and shoots the dog and then starts eating his wife's pussy out. And it clearly is like one of those German, like that's funny to a German. They're like, oh, this is hilarious. like, yeah, the dog's eating her out, but like he's not supposed to. All right, he's gonna die. That's how it works here. But you can imagine my mom's face when
If it
she
was her
comes in
stepdog.
and she sees me. she sees me reading this magazine, and I'm like, Mom, look what the dog is doing. And it's like this horrendous cartoon. It's like, and I thought to myself, because you know, you tied it all together there: Germans, Weimar, weird porn sketches, etc. And I'm like, and I realized like this is a traumatic memory, and I've had this repressed for so long, but now it's there.
So
like,
sorry.
That's
This is a
great.
therapy podcast.
We just Kaiser Sose. Do we just have like a big moment?
well, I mean, I was gonna say, you guys want to go buy some magazines? 'Cause
Hang on, so but the thing is though, in Germany, that's a funny cartoon for adults, but in Japan, that is a children's cartoon.
Also, it's your parents' own fault for buying you Hund Pussy Essen magazine.
I'm still remembering that Trump as a fireball hitting Earth and like I'm a sex monster, and then the person quote tweeting on Twitter being like, "I don't speak German. What is this good?
Is this good?
Is this a good thing?"
Is Trump ein Sex Monster? Yeah.
He's a sexy monster. They changed it to Ellis Island.
Wow, I'm still sort of processing.
Nate,
that
that
a chick
explains so much
stepdog
about
ate
your
her out?
personality.
But I like
It's like I'm now trying to imagine what the New Yorker caption equivalent. What's the New Yorker caption for that cartoon?
well, first because it's single panel, so it would be the dog doing that to the wife and the husband standing in the doorway with his hands on his
Yeah,
hips.
and then what's the caption?
Holding a gun.
Holding a gun and with his hands on her hips with like the gun kind of slung over
The
his
whole
shoulder.
the whole time she was calling men dogs.
Or
It's
like
a New
something
Yorker.
like.
It's not meant to be
That's
like.
pretty good.
Or like something like something before like something about some like dinner at it. Some
When I-
some
And
notion
I
about like
thought
dinner
dogs
etiquette.
hated pussy.
Yes, it would be.
That might be
Wouldn't
too
it-
funny for the New
wouldn't
Yorker.
Wouldn't it be like I didn't know I bought a pussy hound? Like, wouldn't that be the?
Like I haven't seen you since Yale or something to the dog.
I just knew that dog was a bloodhound. Anyway,
That's just the talented Mr. Ripley. Hey, so ski resorts.
So
Yeah, height.
yeah,
Yeah, it's hard on a podcast that you're not sure whether you want the thing to be assorted porn or like I don't know which I want the recurring theme of this
Yeah.
to be.
skiing,
It's-
skiing elitism.
You need
this is a serious skiing podcast with some digressions.
Yeah.
ski in, ski out girl is what you want.
What is that?
what your ski in, ski out is?
No,
It's where your chalet has like a little.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah, I do. I know what this means.
I want
yeah.
to hear about this. I'm going up in the world.
So you want a girl you can go into foot first? I don't understand.
It's like a drive-through.
No, hang on.
No, it's like
that you can get for the slopes. Your chalet is on the way down from a slope, so you can ski right to your door, and then also you could ski down to it to another sort
So
of
like
ski
a drive-through.
no, it's like a garage. Sorry, car hold.
Wait, so your accommodation is where the fun is?
Yeah, so
Yes.
mostly it's
Got
not.
it.
Mostly usually have to like walk to a chair
Yeah,
or like walk
yeah.
to a.
That's what I thought was normal, but that's a fancy. That's
Because
nice.
the worst part of skiing is when you get to the bottom, You, I mean, yeah, obviously. You go to the après and you get all hammered.
The worst part of skiing is, when there's a patrician revolt in Davos and you're not able to enjoy yourself because fucking people can't seem to get it through their heads that some people work and some people ski, and those lines never cross.
It's like ancient Spartan society with like the helots.
No, come on,
like
please.
The helots do all the work while the Spartans are like the master skiing race. That's what we don't question your lot, the helots. Without us skiing, who would do it?
Skiing's actually not very, skiing's not very fun. You wouldn't enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you first start skiing, like at the age of like 12 or so, they make you ski down in just a loincloth
Amazing.
to harden you up,
Yeah, when the Persians invade, we did destroy them with skiing.
So
Then we will ski in the shade.
Is the founding of Rome, Romulus and
snowboards will
Remus
block
being
out the
raised
sun.
by a family of skiing wolves? Just
No, sled dogs. Come on.
nothing in the rules that say a dog can't ski. Or like, no, Airbud? No, Airbud.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
He
hang
was
on.
also played for the Chicago Bulls, right? That's,
Yeah, so I think that's in the law.
That's why the Russians loved it so much. It's because finally we've defeated the Finns at their own game with our skiing dog.
So hang on. You want to be staying
That's
somewhere.
Leica's cousin, and Leica was always trying to live up to Leica's vibe. Sorry.
It's his step cousin.
You mean the movie Airbud?
Yeah.
It's this in
So
this
dogs trying to
one.
live up to.
In this one, the ski cousin fucks the step cousin that plays basketball.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, don't worry, that's just my ski cousin. What?
Hang on, wait. Okay, so hang on. It's better than so if you have your chalet on the tracks.
But like ultimately,
On the
there's
track.
On the
ski track.
ski
I'm
track,
up on the wrong
run,
side of the skiing track.
the wrong side of the ski tracks.
I'm a rough skier.
Yeah.
Skiing down in torn denim.
I grew up off piste. Downtown Verbier. You Val d'Isère cats don't understand what it's like.
All right. That's
And the thing is,
settled.
like, this is more like a Val Thorens criticism, but a lot.
Say no more.
But like, there's a lot.
Say some more.
Say some more. Please say a lot more. I have no
These
idea
are a
what you're
lot
talking
of
about.
like uni or sort of work package holidays go there. So it's
Uh-huh.
basically like a cold Magaluf,
Gotcha.
which you don't want. That's a way to.
It's a brutal sex move.
You get, you
cold
get
Magaluf.
frostbite on your dick.
Pack your anus with snow.
Well, hang on.
How's
Actually,
my snowshoe treating you?
And the snow does give you. Chlamydia.
posh uni holidays are like the opposite of porn because you find out afterwards that you are actually sort of related.
Well, but Riley, I'm also kind of wondering, like, when it was a bad ski resort, when it's worth missing, right? Like, what is it that qualifies it as such?
Oh, here's the thing.
Ongoing civil war.
Crab.
Don't go to where that
I was gonna
is.
say, wait, did you say crab?
Crowd.
Like they serve crab?
No, that's a good one.
Oh, okay, my bad. Because I thought you were gonna be like, no, they serve bad shellfish.
Yeah.
and they serve Chateauneuf de Pape, which everyone knows is shit anyway.
Yeah.
It's not that it's shit. It's an oversaturated brand. Like, if you want a nice Syrah, you can still get a Chateauneuf. It's not going to be bad. It's just like they charge mostly for the brand name, and I'm not into like being ripped off by like a Tesco's finest Chateauneuf.
So you're like a Samsung person for wine, right? You're like,
Only
the elite
Android
lesson.
wine.
yeah.
I get the Chateau Neuf and 3/4. That's my.
Oh no, really? Did that really happen?
There's a lot going on there.
We've all had. Now, both
Think about what you
me
just
and
said.
Riley have had our moment, but now it's just these two. Which moment are you're going to be a complete flump of a?
Sorry, it's actually Chateauneuf de Step Pop.
Oh no, that's just my step
on two
pope.
now.
Should I just cue up the horn noises as a thing we have on deck?
All right, so
Dude, that's a legitimate callback.
Oh, it's like morning soup. Yeah.
we need the toilet flush.
Each time you accidentally mention a ski resort where only like upper middle class people would go, that you do like a horn noise.
It's like a toilet flush noise.
I don't know how experienced you are with those, but those shows, you know, like the terrible New York or like talk radio things they'll do, they're like 4 hours long and they're not good.
Yeah.
And like I'm just
Really,
telling you-
every day, 4 hours. They're not great.
No, I mean, imagine us doing this podcast every morning, but like just with a lot less gusto.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was one time I was stuck in traffic on my way up from New York to Connecticut. It's like an hour and a half drive, and they were doing this whole thing about like it was sort of the Tiny Frog voice. But imagine trying to make the Tiny Frog voice funny for an hour, like just going on and on about like I make my ass talk like that nonstop.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
god!
Wait, how do you know he was making his ass talk? It was the radio.
because he was literally making fart noises afterwards.
Wow.
That's
I'm
good
not
radio.
dumb. I'm not willing to stoop low enough. I'm not going to debase this podcast far enough to make you understand how bad it was. But it was one of those things where you're like, wow, this has been going on for like an hour. They haven't stopped this bit.
Yeah. And then it's like when you see the sheer quantity of Adam Sandler films where you just go, there's an inexhaustible demand for nonsense.
Click is the only film that ever made me cry, so shut the fuck up.
Hey, even the blind chicken will occasionally hit the corn, all right? There's nothing to
not
stop
even-
it from being good eventually. But if you watch the one on Netflix...
Oh, I never
where-
said Click is good.
No. Click, very sad, very affecting. But if you watch the Adam Sandler film he made in the last few years where he's a magic cobbler... Who,
Yeah.
The racist film. It's a super racist film.
Yeah, that does sound like a sort of like
Hilarious.
weird caricature of like the mysterious Jews. Like, they must be stopped with their magic cobbling
But
skills.
do you think that you know how like Top Gun was paid for by the Air Force to get more recruits to the Air Force? Does this happen with cobbling? Be like, not enough people are making shoes.
We need people
to
to
make
be-
Adam
no, it's like
Sandler.
by
Paid for by the
Timpson.
Communist
It's like-
of America.
we need to convince people that if they become a cobbler, that they can transform into the RZA and then do crimes, because that's basically a lot of the plot of that movie.
So does he
I've
transfer?
never seen
Okay, gosh.
he's a magic cobbler, and when he repairs their shoes and puts them on, he becomes them.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's
Like,
just-
like in normal cobbling.
And it's just him being like in a character that's like a bit like
So
them.
literally walk a mile in those shoes, and someone's
Yeah.
like, "That's the pitch."
Here's my pitch for the film, and this brick of pure cocaine. Here's
and
the
they're
film.
like, "No, hell no!" And they're like, "Adam Sandler is attached, sold."
It's all done.
So like one of those films where where it's like father like son, but it's about like the father of like a star in like an alien, so, like where they go
start with
too far with a catchphrase or a pun.
Yeah, they start with a pun, and then they derive an entire 80 to 90-minute film from a phrase, as if that would ever end well.
Adam Sandler's the advert. I've only held my mouse over the advert for the Adam Sandler new thing on Netflix, which is like a stand-up thing. One, it's a stand-up. It's the most cheating thing. It's not. It's a stand-up show.
Yeah.
But it's just loads of different clips. It seems to be loads of clips welded together from loads of bits. It's like you can't. Anyone could make a good stand-up show welding the best 3 minutes from an hour show together over 20 tour dates.
But I've seen 3 or 4 tweets so far from people I respect who aren't in collaboration with each other saying it's really good, and I can't tell if it's a really funny joke. And now I'm going to have to watch it.
All the clips that I saw, all the clips were like 4 or 5 second quick cuts of bits where he's not doing a joke and he's just going, he's just doing a silly voice.
Yeah, but that's always like the way that someone like they always seem to go, who should we get to edit this trailer for all stand-up? Probably Jim, the editor who hates stand-up, right?
and doesn't speak English.
And doesn't speak English, yeah. And the bits that he likes the most are the bits where people
Or
are
any
going,
human language.
and like this bits where it's just the audience laughing and they're just waving. And they go, that'll advertise content. It's just a man
exactly.
waving.
It's a man waving. It's people loving it.
It's a guy running around.
I
It's a
feel
guy,
like if ever he's up for any crimes in the state of Texas, Adam Sandler can just show any of his films and they won't execute him. Like we've executed a lot of mentally impaired people down here in the state of Texas. We draw the line here.
Do you mean they'd watch him and go, these films prove that he is not black in any way? And he has never, crucially,
for a brief minute in the Magic Cobbler.
and crucially, he has never been black. So you're right, we won't execute him.
After the famous Michael Jackson case of '86, he almost got off on being white now, but we dug into it.
You see, it's like that.
I'm doing a sort of Louisiana thing. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, that's.
I was going to say,
where
Milo, I,
Steve
mean, like,
King's-
I really appreciate your dedication to the craft on accents, but my God, you have strayed far from Texas. You're wandering from Mississippi into the ocean, into like the bog people that no one knows about anymore. They've been buried for 1,000 years.
Cajun voice.
That's just the Irish.
I would also love that would be very much the Al Capone like being done up for tax avoidance thing. If people wrote like typed into the podcast being like, Milo really got his accent bit wrong in the bit about people with low IQs being executed and why people it was when it drifted to Louisiana. It got super fucked. I'm like, oh yeah, that was the bit, was it?
This is deeply offensive to people from Louisiana.
But that's the kind of thing that people who hate comedy do complain about. And you go, okay, so all of the Frankie Boyle, I hope they die of cancer jokes you were fine with, but when he disrespected the idea of a hereditary monarchy, you really lost your rag and got sick of it. Very disrespectful immediately after all his abducted, murdered child humor.
And then one of the bit that got him most was like the thing about like, how dare you say the Queen's old?
Yeah.
She's 92 years young.
The queen is an Instagram thought. She's just about to hit her peak, and she doesn't even need to use filters. Okay,
She does look good, to be fair.
But how's
I
her
mean-
poop
I mean,
shit?
if I was 60 years older,
actually, sorry, she's,
I apologize. Please let me live in this country.
she's actually our step queen.
my step queen and my step duke of Edinburgh.
All this porn that I've been watching is just like I'm just waiting until my parents tell me that I'm adopted because I get to fuck both of them. Mom, are you listening?
It is such a great genre,
I think
though,
that's
because
probably
it's...
the moment you're most gratified that your parents' grasp of English is not enough to quite understand how.
They're too
This
busy
is like
doing
the
the
bit on
trailer
the-
for Adam
whereas-
Sandler's stand-up special.
Whereas Olga on the Russian podcast with Milo is like, what is a sex? Whereas on this
I
one,
won't
she's
curse
like,
on it.
where can mummy and daddy and me?
When can we get down to some step family values?
So what? You're just hoping that someone will listen to it and they'll say, "What is she saying?" And they, "Oh, she's saying she loves you very much."
She loves you.
That's a good joke.
Yeah. She's got
No,
a,
that's clean, wholesome comedy I can get behind. A joke about a girl who loves her parents.
they're talking about a very silly German dog. What a silly dog! It was eating a cake it wasn't supposed to eat, and it got hit on the nose. What a fun insight into
We don't
a
have
wholesome.
time for this now, silly dog. We're
cake
trying
was
to do
for the
our maths
family members.
homework.
Okay, here's the real thing, though. The more I see that, like continental humor, the more that seems to be their sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the silly dog ate a cake he shouldn't have got hit on the nose.
But you can't do a lot of jokes in German because the verb comes at the end. So the reveal has already been fucked. So you like they're just waiting to find out what
So
one
all
object is doing to another object. They're not waiting to find out what the second object was. So
it- you
loads
can-
of
it can
English
only-
humor doesn't
so
work
it can
in
only
German.
be surprising because it was the dog and the woman's
Woman's
pussy.
vagina.
Like, it's like- the verb needs to be mental, is what you're saying.
The only way you can be funny in German is through like sheer randomness and presumably then saying that dog, the woman's vagina was filing. Or, oh, mein Gott, you sort of then it's a big surprise.
What letter do you put woman's vagina under? If that cartoon had been in France,
If
it
we
would-
are going to talk about Germany and German humor, there was in fact a show, and it may still be around when I was a kid, that I couldn't quite understand. It was called Tutti Frutti. Great German name.
Yeah.
And here's the premise of Tutti Frutti. Everyday people get on stage and take their clothes off.
Yeah.
That was
That's
an
it.
Italian show.
Well, it's a German show too. Because damn
European.
Really,
no.
that's just the news.
Wait, isn't there a British show like that? Dating Naked or like
No, but that's a
Naked
dating show.
Attraction.
This is just the
This was literally they
entertainment.
just played like conga line music, and people got on stage and took their clothes off, and that was it. That was the show.
I'm down.
And I was just like, but it wasn't even a cable show. This was just like on broadcast TV.
Yeah.
It just was like a late night thing.
And then
I
the
like-
dog would come in.
But exactly. I mean,
But it's a
well, that you had to
completely-
pay extra for. You had a satellite for that. But I mean, there were subscribers.
I met a guy who was he's Belgian, but he's Flemish Belgian, and he's pretty famous in Belgium as a stand-up. And he was telling me about how, like, until the sort of early 2000s, there wasn't really any stand-up in Belgium because like all of continental Europe is just cabaret. It's all cabaret, and they were sort of the first stand-ups in Belgium, and they would tour around Belgium in like a van and do these gigs. But they had to start including a disclaimer at the start of the gig where they just explained to the audience what stand-up was and that it wasn't cabaret. And they had to stand up and go, there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no juggling, there's no magic, there's no naked people running around. And
have
then like
no
loads-
stepdog.
Yeah, but genuinely all the middle-aged people and above would just leave. Because like, why would we sit quietly in a room while a person talks in a row? Like, this is the dullest, weirdest, creepiest thing we've ever heard in our lives. But
Why
they had
indeed?
complaints, so that's how much it's a different comedic culture. They just had no concept.
I've had that doing stand-up in Russia, but where they've made no effort to explain to people that stand-up is different. They've just tried to make it cabaret. A mate of mine went on a gig in Magnitogorsk, which is a fun place. Everyone should visit.
Like that GCSE Russian history, Magnitogorsk, the big industrialized big series of pit
I mean,
mines.
like they liked Soviet towns tend to do what they say on the tin, like Magnitogorsk. I wonder what you can find there.
Yeah.
Anyway, and this guy had to go on and follow an Elvis tribute act who'd just done half an hour.
Hell yeah.
A man from Magnitogorsk dressed as Elvis, and apparently he was doing all of the like Elvis noises as well, like in between songs. He was like talking to the crowd in Russian, but doing like Elvis voice.
Oh,
Like,
incredible.
Здравствуйте, дамы и господа.
What's Spasiba, moist. Thank you very much.
Большое спасибо.
Wait. That was the act before him, or was that his solution to get the crowd involved?
He had to follow that.
He had to,
He had to follow
He had to follow
'cause
that.
my thought would be like just do stand up and just periodically just like and just like hope that they get it. Just hope there's some continuity.
And around the same time, we were doing stand-up in the neighboring city of Chelyabinsk, which is comparatively cosmopolitan, as Magnitogorsk goes. And
What's cosmopolitan? Well, you do your thing. Then say what's cosmopolitan about it. I'm very curious.
what's cosmopolitan about Chelyabinsk? I mean, it has an H&M. It's like that level of...
That's pretty good.
And so we did this stand-up show. And at the end, they were like, do you want to stay for the rest of the show? And we were very much under the impression that we were the end of the show. They're like, oh, no. And then we go and sit at a table. So like, well, if you stay, we'll give you free food. And we're like, okay. So we're sitting there. And then these two strippers come out on stage. And they're stripping. And then there's like some music playing, which is like quite like low-key, like weirdly low-key for stripping. And then like an old woman comes out and begins like singing Soviet ballads. Like, in the middle. Like I'm trying to think what like an analogous UK kind of... it would be like if you had strippers and then you had like Val Dunican came out between them and started, or like Rolf Harris
Singing Jerusalem.
singing Jerusalem.
But another thing that's really interesting about performing stand-up in Russia, I never have done this, but I've seen a bunch of videos and I've heard a bunch of Russian stand-up say this, is that like from the Soviet times, Russians aren't conditioned to laugh because like laughing is weakness, so they just applaud when they like something.
Oh yeah.
So a
You
lot
tried
of the
to
time,
make
like
me
you
laugh,
say
you
something
failed.
funny, and then you just clap if you like it, but then your face is just stone cold.
Sounds like the end of my fringe.
Hey!
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're at a rally.
Exactly.
They're like, yes, crush them.
That's absolutely mad. That is one of them. Like that's like something from someone trying to crudely satirize Russia. That's amazing. So they just like the laughter is a purely internal affair.
Yeah, a monster
I think it's
system doing
changing
that
now,
in
but in
like
the Soviet times,
in like a dystopian thing would be a bit like on the nose.
You'd be
If,
like, all right, we get it.
Yeah,
It's
we
not a
get it.
nice
It's
place
not-
to live.
Yeah,
Laughter
we get
is
it.
illegal.
Laughter, the main thing you want to do, the thing that people say on dating profiles that they love to laugh. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
so
that's,
you'd be like, love to applaud
but
if
it's,
I agree.
But it's literally that's the movie Equilibrium.
Yeah.
Also, that movie fucking rocks.
I liked it.
I fucking love the movie Equilibrium.
I liked it. Sean Bean is in there.
Sean Bean gets his gets
he
his shit
die?
fucked up.
Isn't it? Didn't we work out? Was it this week or generally? It's either Sean Bourne or Sean Bean, isn't it? Because there's it should both of those names. No, genuinely, both those names should be pronounced. Either you do the Irish one or you don't. So it should be Sean Bourne or Sean Bean. And we tried have our cake and eat it, and it's exactly what I hate about our politics.
Jason Bourne's brother.
So you're also therefore like
Oh, I'm Sean Bourne. Yeah,
You're in favor,
I'm not Team
so
Sean
you're in
Bourne.
favor of like that thing I've seen it online, going to Chipotle with Aristotle,
Yeah.
or going to Chipotle with Aristotle.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent
Sitting-
across all
sit-
pronunciation.
Yeah. So
Can I
with a
have
Baudelaire
a
of wine in
Baudelaire?
Chipotle.
Huff, thoff, and throff
Yes.
instead of though and through.
Weren't they three kings of England in the
I
Middle
suppose
Ages?
Got there way, yeah.
I suppose I'm trying to do the Irish because I think both of I don't know. You take no. You're probably right. You're probably
Well,
right. You're probably right that he should be called Sean Bean.
Well, like if Bean was like in Irish, then it probably would be like Born. But then, if depending on the declension, it would be Vaughan or Morn as well.
Wouldn't it be Bhean? Be somehow pronounced.
You
Vaughn.
saying that his real name is Siobhan?
His real name is.
That's what it worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Boromir is Siobhan.
Yeah.
Well, that was his first name. I mean, he did convert to Islam, so it's changed. Since changed. Yeah.
My favorite thing about Sean Bean is that his name spoonerized is Bean Sean. I think he's the only person I've come across who has that phenomenon.
That has to be rare.
Man,
that could be
it's-
the Bean Sean.
That's the thing. It means he's impossible to attack on Twitter.
That's right.
He's impervious.
He just becomes backwards himself.
He's also quite scary
Or
in
the
real life.
liberal Democrats, and then you just can't do it.
I mean, if you want to own the Liberal Democrats, you can just look at their actual record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe just I do recommend anyone listening look up the story where Sean Bean won a pub fight.
Well, why don't you
Oh,
tell
that's
it?
great. That one.
Well, I can only sort of half remember it. I think someone just was fucking with him in a pub in London. And he just beat the fuck out of them.
But then he got a shard.
die?
He got cut, like or stabbed, like he got his hand cut.
His
with
hand
a
got, like,
glass,
smashed
and
with
then he
loads of
just
glass.
asked. He just ordered a pint.
He
then
he
just
wrapped it
kept-
in napkins and kept drinking beer because he's Sean Bean and he's from
died in so many.
and he's from Sheffield.
I've died in so many.
Death does not scare me.
Died in so many films.
That's just sounds like
Or two, giving you data. He's obsessed with data. He wants everyone to have as many minutes as possible.
Sean Bean will die for your minutes.
He will.
Like, Jesus
Now,
died for your sins.
What is
The
like
One
the
Ring can
canon
give
of
a
those
man
O2
unlimited
adverts?
minutes.
Is he just like the disembodied? Because you never see him in those
He's
adverts.
sharp.
Is he? You think he's
He's
sharp? I was
sharp.
going to say he's Boromir, but he's sharp.
Sharp.
It was so hard on those
Obadiah
campaigns
Hicks.
in Europe, but thanks to roaming in the European Union, I could call home. Well,
When I was fighting Bonnie and the frogs. Yeah.
Portugal was the weak point of it.
I had no idea that he wasn't Irish because I've seen him as the Irish accented villain in so many Harrison Ford movies or
Yeah.
movies based on Tom Clancy novels. That was actually a shock that he's from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Or wherever.
Well, then, like, I've noticed that there's a few American films where they'll pick a Scottish celebrity and then have them as an Irish character. They've done it with Billy Connolly a bunch of times. They've done it with Sean Connery as well. But they've just gone, yeah, that's, hills and pipes. Fine.
Riley is just checking on Instagram who's been looking at his gym selfie.
Dude,
So in both-
the Franz Ferdinand guys looked at my gym selfie.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, Jesus.
What a sentence. In both Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, he got to basically just do, they're like, oh yeah, Regent son of Gondor would speak like that, and then like, the Warden of the North.
I know, but at least
this.
at least he could say that that was what the creator wanted
Yeah.
with Game of Thrones.
What do we think about Lord of the Rings?
What do you think about
do you
it?
think? Do you think the steward of Gondor's son would have talked like that?
Well,
The
like-
Franz Ferdinand guys are like, you can take me out with those guns. Continue.
Continue. Boy.
Continue.
So there's a Franz Ferdinand B-side called Guns, is what she's trying to say.
Well, that's very good. Pull of a Franz Ferdinand B-side.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Hi,
made
Franz
that one up.
Ferdinand
I know.
guys.
We know.
We know.
I was just saying, like when you really think about it, right? Like
Go back to Sean Bean.
the
It's fine.
what the One Ring is in the Lord of the Rings is the ability to say the N-word, and and Sean
That's
Bean
at least another hour, Riley. Come on.
and Sean Bean
Is the only one who thinks you can use the enemy's weapon against them, whereas
Sean
everyone else
Bean-
wants to destroy that
Sean
power.
Bean is the liberal who builds does a protest sign calling Trump the N-word, thinking it's finally going to defeat him.
So wait, so you're saying that Samwise Gamgee is one of the few white people who is allowed to, but is the only one who turns down the chance.
Samwise
to-
Gamgee is Adam 22.
I don't know who that is.
None of you guys know who Adam
The
22
Venn
is.
diagram of this is you.
It's a circle and a small one.
Samwise Gamgee is
It says
Eminem.
cock
It's a
ring.
singularity.
Samwise Gamgee. Samwise Gamgee is Eminem. Boromir is the liberal calling Trump the N-word, and then Frodo is Rachel Maddow. Obviously,
Is this like a Ben Garrison
I will
cartoon?
not go on Salem Shire.
It's just that swamp and like Sauron, and it's like a picture of Hillary going, "Ugh."
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, what Frodo is trying to do as the politically correct mainstream media is destroy your ability to say the word, even though
Riley's hymen just grew back.
the inscription on the ring says it just means ignorant person.
Right.
Oh my god.
I mean, like, who is this Adam? Who's that?
He's a guy who interviews like SoundCloud rappers who's got a lot of murky allegations against him, but he's like 40 years old and he's covered in face tattoos.
The trouble is that you live on the internet. So the people in your sort of global village are always so internety that I've never heard of them. So okay, the ski resort thing. Hang on.
Should we introduce ourselves?
We'll introduce ourselves.
So hang on, wait.
You know, well, where did they have to go in Lord of the Rings? Mount Doom, which I hear was a very substandard ski resort. Severe lack of snow, very rude staff. You're constantly being looked on by this guy in a tower. It's like a weird peeping Tom thing. I don't know.
Exactly. That's what makes a bad ski
Second
resort.
breakfast not included.
Nice.
But really, what makes an excellent ski resort is the friends we made along the way.